geht weiter. Was müssen wir jetzt machen? Gucken wir mal. Unsere Aufgabenliste. Ein Verdächtiger über den Tag des Mordes. Okay, wir müssen wieder in das Pflanzenhaus fahren. Und mit allen labern. So, jetzt müssen wir mit allen, sind ja alle verdächtig. Würde ich mal so sagen. Fangen wir mit Dümchen an.
Can you tell me if you saw Mr. Montague Dunn on the day of his death?
Yes, of course. I met him, and we went to see Albert, his son, at around 9:30. He appeared quite calm.
What were you doing on the morning of the accident?
After paying multiple visits to Albert, I had a little talk with Miss White. Then I returned to my desk to complete some paperwork. Suddenly, I observed that Mr. Dunn was not feeling well, so I ran immediately to fetch Albert. I clearly remember that it was around 10:30, for I was late that morning.
Thank you, Mr. Hamish. We shall continue our investigation.
So, und wo finden wir jetzt die anderen? Wenn ich das mir immer merken würde. Ah, da ist er ja, da ist der Albert.
Your father's death does seem highly suspicious. What were your movements here on that day?
Suspicious? Well, I was working in the seed house, taking care of something, or Lear, Pontus, or... No, wait. Ah, these Latin names. I spent so many hours trying to memorize them.
Did you see your father that day?
Yes. He came here with Mr. Hamish for his weekly visit. There was nothing unusual about that.
And then?
Nothing. They stepped out to the backyard. It was perhaps
I
20 minutes
by
before 10 o'clock. And about 10 minutes later, I saw my father heading for the dry tropics room while Mr. Hamish returned here.
And Mr. Hamish and Miss White, what were they both doing that morning?
Mr. Hamish visited me a couple of times. I also saw him returning from talking with Miss White, and that was at 10 minutes past 10. But then he ran back here to me to tell me that my father was feeling unwell. We hurried across to the water lily room, and I found my father lying dead on the floor. Oh my God.
Tell me, have you ever heard of the Divine Syndicate?
No, I cannot say that I have.
Thank you, young man. We shall see you again soon.
Müssen wir die Dingens finden? Miss White. Wir hören Musik. Achso. Ups. Na. Das ist ja ein Irrgarten, Mensch. Ups. Ich kann mir doch nichts merken.
Dry Tropics.
Ach so, Mensch.
Dry Tropics.
Kommen wir nicht mehr raus, doch. Kommen wir auch raus? Wo ist denn Miss White? Mary. Ist ja irgendwo oder wie oder was? Ach, da links, glaube ich. Ja. Ah. Wahrscheinlich hätte man die auch schneller finden können. Aber
Can you tell me what Mr. Dunn was doing upon the day of his death?
I can, but there is nothing very special to say. I was in the laboratory when I saw Mr. Dunn heading towards me. Tuesday is the day of his weekly visit. It was supposed to be at 9, but he was 10 minutes late, as usual.
And then?
Well, he came in to say good morning. Then I saw him spend 2 or 3 minutes by the plants outside the laboratory. After that, he ran out in the direction of the nursery, where Mr. Hamish was working. He was always in a rush during the inspection, you see. I would pity anyone who stood in his way.
And that was the last time you saw him?
Yes. I stayed in the laboratory until 20 minutes to 11, when I heard the cries of Albert and Mr. Hamish from the large glass house. I joined them as soon as I could, for I knew that something must be very wrong.
What exactly were you doing in the laboratory?
I was recording an experiment for my thesis. I only stopped my work once when Mr. Hamish visited me briefly around 10 o'clock.
But you say you were recording an experiment when the tragedy occurred. Might I listen to the roll?
Certainly. Please do. You will find it in the laboratory. It is number 320.
The Divine Syndicate. Does that name mean anything to you, by any chance?
Not at all. But it is a very pretty name.
Thank you, miss.
oh Gott. Ihre Aufzeichnung, wo sind ja Ihre Aufzeichnungen? Das ist das Anzuchthaus, wenn ich mich nicht irre. Mit lauter Pflanzenbabys.
The seeds of plant species are stored here.
Hallo, Watson. Das haben wir schon untersucht. Okay, gehen wir da raus. Oh. Jetzt sind wir wieder im Irrgarten. Jetzt sind wir wieder im Irrgarten. Oh, wo sind wir jetzt? Auch eine Anzucht.
These young plants must be delicate if they are kept in the nursery.
Babys, Pflanzenbabys.
This poster is for an exhibition that Martin Hamish was directing, but it had nothing to do with Kew Gardens. This certificate belongs to Martin Hamish. He won a horticultural competition. We can see the interior of the Colonial Collection Room from this window.
Ich kann über Fenster öffnen. Ups.
An award presented to Martin Hamish for Best Grower of the Year. A master's degree diploma It belongs to Martin Hamish.
Okay. Kommen wir jetzt irgendwo raus? Da. Nee, von da sind wir ja gekommen. Nee, von da. Von wo sind wir jetzt gekommen? Von da sind wir gekommen.
Locked.
Gott, das ist ja der reinste Irrgarten hier.
Yes, this is quite a modern laboratory.
Martin Hamish's perception of plants. The notion of communication in the plant world has long been considered marginal, yet I remain convinced that some plants do indeed transmit chemical signals in the event of attack.
A study report by Martin Hamish.
Hallo.
And it seems clear from these multiple experiments that plants do respond to their environment and have a form of consciousness. Margaret White, February 1895. Report number 245.
Study report. A botany book. This student's book belongs to Albert. Chemicals, a sufficient quantity for some serious experiments.
Halt. Nee, das war die Tür.
Gloves, waterproof aprons, everything one might need for self-protection. It appears as though the protective equipment is missing from here.
Ja.
Such masks are generally worn when dealing with toxic chemicals.
Okay. Wo sind eigentlich die Nummer 320?
Locked.
Holmes, Albert Dunn didn't give us the key to this door.
It does not matter. We will open it.
Oh Gott, wie ich das hasse. Dass ich das jemals geschafft habe, ist ein reines Wunder. Nein! Jetzt hat wieder alles kaputt gemacht. Alles kaputt. Oh Gott. Okay. Nee, ich soll da bleiben. Och Mensch. Halt. Nee. Jetzt weiß ich. Das muss da reinpassen. Aber jetzt geht das nicht mehr darüber. Das passt ja schon mal sehr gut. Sieht aus. Das wird ja immer komplizierter. Sieht hübsch aus, ja. Nee. Grüne, da muss ich noch wegkriegen. Tja, die Grüne wird immer dicker. Immer mehr. Die da wahrscheinlich auch dauern. Jetzt sind die da in der Mitte, das ist ja Chaos. Ah,
Open.
na bitte. Na, oh, Mensch.
The employee's cloakroom.
Okay.
Albert's locker. A picture of Miss White and Albert in front of the University of London.
And they seem to get along.
Specialist articles on shipyards and ship construction. Albert Dunn has a great passion for shipbuilding and the sea. A rejection letter from the British Royal Naval College.
Komm mal, Albert.
Martin Hamish's locker. A review on rare and exotic plants. Martin Hamish has written several pieces. Martin Hamish studied chemistry. Interesting.
Okay.
Father and I, Kew Gardens. Miss White's locker. These jewels must be worth a small fortune. A vanity purse. It is of high quality.
Oh. Okay.
Apparently, Miss White is a capable student. A draft of the letter that Miss White sent to her parents.
Okay, haben wir hier noch irgendwas? Nö. Sind die alle grün oder sind die... Da habe ich was übersehen. Bei Miss White habe ich irgendwas übersehen. Der muss
Miss
grün
White's
sein.
locker.
Das hab ich. Hab ich doch alles. Was habe ich denn da übersehen? Klamotten. Ah, da ist doch noch ein Brief. Ja. Jetzt habe ich sie. Okay. werden wir nochmal hier zusammentüfteln. Miss White und dann. Okay. Wow. Okay. Passt nichts mehr. Okay, jetzt haben wir wieder weit abgeschlossen hier. Was müssen wir jetzt machen? Halt. Okay, jetzt müssen wir die befragen. Koloniale was? Ups. Was ist ein Kolonialhaus schon wieder? Ich gucke nochmal. Ich habe ja mit allen Verdächtigen gesprochen. Muss ich nochmal mit ihnen sprechen? Was ist das? Nursery. Babys. Müssen wir dann nochmal mit dem sprechen, oder? Ja.
Mr. Hamish, was someone from your family connected with Kew Gardens?
Family? No. I'm the only one with a passion for botany.
Fotografie.
I do not think so. This photograph of you and your father at Kew Gardens suggests the opposite.
But you have no right to.
Do tell us more about your father.
He was, indeed, the greatest botanist of his time in the British Empire. He worked together with Montague Dunn until the end of his life. He brought me in at the age of 12.
Did he get on well with Mr. Dunn?
No, I couldn't say that. They expanded Kew Gardens together, that was all. And it was all my father's work. But Dunn always lived the high life.
So Mr. Dunn was not helping your father?
Oh, yes, he provided the financial support. And as far as he was concerned, that fulfilled his role. But the worst of it was, he declared himself as the master of Kew Gardens. Fame meant nothing to my father. So it was easy for Mr. Dunn to take all the credit.
Thank you, Mr. Hamish. We shall continue our investigation.
Jungen nochmal sprechen. Kolonialhaus, da muss ich Experimente machen.
I perceive that you are passionate about the Royal Navy.
Passionate? No, not really. I like ships, that is all.
Are you quite sure? You do not seem to be so interested in plants.
It's difficult, that's all. My future is here. There's never been about anything else.
And yet I know that the Royal Naval College rejected your application.
Ah, you truly are as clever as they say. Yes, that's correct. And in fact, my father was strongly against the idea. He did his best to ruin my plans, although I almost did succeed. But my dreams were shattered, Mr. Holmes.
Thank you, young man. We shall see you again soon.
Oops.
Everyone has gone, Holmes. The way is clear.
No, it wasn't like that.
Der ist wieder aufgefallen.
When Montague Dunn was standing close by the plants, the caterpillars were released and caused the deadly spores to activate. Panicking, and likely already half asphyxiated, Montague Dunn started back and knocked over the bust. He rushed to the door, but it was locked. He had to force it open with his shoulder. We already know the outcome. Montague Dunn collapsed and died not far from the pool. Well, it is time to perform our experiments on the ventilation system.
Okay.
The caterpillars could only fall from the ventilation duct. Our caterpillars are in place. I'll activate the ventilation system so that they fall down. Watson, stay here and observe.
All right, Holmes.
Wie aktiviert man denn dieses blöde Dingens hier? Muss der da hochklettern oder was?
These windows were perfectly cleaned.
Ja, super. Und nun? Das hatten wir auch schon alles. Das hatten wir auch schon alles. Tolle Wurst.
We have to activate the ventilation system.
Das Belüftungssystem geht irgendwie da lang. Da ist es doch. Ah. Und da ist es auch. Da ist es auch. Hier ist es nicht. Kann man das so nicht aktivieren. Das muss irgendwie da gehen. Ja, warum gibt es da keinen Knopf, den man drücken kann? Ah, geht's hier irgendwo raus? Wir müssen da raus, wir müssen da rein. Ja. Hier sieht man nichts mehr vom Belüftungssystem. Hier sieht man ganz viel vom Belüftungssystem, aber nicht, wo man das aktivieren kann. Ja, oh, klasse. Tolle Wurst. Ah, ich wusste noch, irgendwo muss ich hin. Okay. Können wir hier drüber latschen? Nee, natürlich nicht. Müssen wir hier durch den Torbogen? Okay, und jetzt aktivieren wir es mal hier. Huch!
Before starting the engine, I need to enable the power supply. The power is on. The engine cannot be started whilst the transmission is active.
Okay.
The engine has started.
Ist eingeschaltet. Nein, das muss ich jetzt so machen.
The power is on. The ventilation system is working.
Ah ja.
A water tank.
Okay. Zurück durch den Torbogen. Hä? War da hinten noch irgendwas? Nee. Wir müssen jetzt wieder zurück. Zu Watson. Wo ist denn Watson nun? Da bin ich doch vorhin gar nicht lang gekommen. Oder? Oh Gott, ich verlaufe mich permanent. Nee, hier ist Watson nicht. Okay, dann suchen wir Watson. Watson, wo bist du? Wo ist denn jetzt die Klimaanlage da unten? Dass der Knopf auch so weit draußen ist. Oh, hier bin ich doch voll nicht lang gegangen, oder? doch. Ja, haha, ich hab's gefunden.
Now we need to see if we can activate the fans from Mr. Hamish's and Albert's space.
Okay, das machen wir aber ein andermal. Muss ja nicht alles auf einmal sein. Nicht wahr?